I feel 4 feet tall.
I was big. I was bigger than bubblegum. I woke up and I noticed my pinky. Auto-animated. Parkinson's disease. I told Tracy the news. In sickness and in health, I remember her whispering.
Canadian actor Michael J. Fox opens about his life living with Parkinson's disease in a new documentary called Still, a Michael J. Fox movie. The documentary explores the inspiring story of Fox's life altered by an incurable disease. And for more on this, we are joined by the film's director, the one and only Davis Guggenheim. Welcome to Toronto and good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. It's so nice to be here.
Absolutely. So this documentary, you approached Michael J. Fox to make it. And I must say, I watched it yesterday. It really feels like you're watching a Michael J. Fox movie because of all the clever editing with use of his old footage to blend into what's happening in his current life, the parallel stories, and also just your interview with him. Yeah. So tell us your vision for how you wanted to make this.
When I pitched it to Apple, I said, let's make a documentary like an 80s movie, a wild ride. And it really is. He's from Chilliwack Army Base in the middle of nowhere in Canada, drops out of high school, in 3 years becomes the biggest movie star in Hollywood, has the top 2 movies in Hollywood and the top TV show at the same time. And then the biggest twist, 7 years later, he's diagnosed with Parkinson's.
Yeah, it was such a shock.
It's an incredible wild ride. And he's such an amazing Canadian icon.
He really is. And, you know, he was diagnosed in 1991. So this is like young onset Parkinson's disease. But
he's 29 years old.
29 years old, just married with a baby.
Yeah.
Why did he, I mean, he's written books about it. He's been open with his foundation with Parkinson's disease. Yeah. But he did keep it a secret for 7 years before telling people. But why now to make this film, you think?
Well, keeping a secret is probably the most interesting part of the movie. It premieres tonight at TIFF at the Lightbox here in Toronto, a Canadian premiere. And he didn't want to tell anybody. He was running. And I think that's a theme in the movie. He's running towards fame. Yeah. And then when he has Parkinson's, he's running away from Parkinson's. And the movie is about what happens when he stops running.
When he's still.
When he's still, and when he faces this thing and finds a better version of himself. And that's why I love this movie, because he's such a wonderful guy. And he's found this stillness, this wonderful thing about him that draws me to him. And I think when you watch the movie, it'll draw yourself to him.
Oh, absolutely. I was hooked. And the title is so fitting because it's about being still and being present in the moment, which is something that he really didn't have when he was this huge Hollywood actor chasing everything. But it's also really funny. I mean, you guys have this dynamic where you're interviewing him, as we're seeing in this B-roll. And, you know, I didn't know he had all these injuries from just falling from the disease. Yeah. And he says at one point, you know, gravity is real, even for people, you know, from my height.
People from my height.
Exactly.
The movie, you might think it's like a tearjerker. There's a lot of emotion in this movie, but it's really a fun ride. You really get to enjoy this unlikely story of the short kid from Canada making it big and figuring out life. Like, fame is one thing, but figuring out life in this beautiful way that taught me so much.
Yeah, you know, Davis, I think a lot of people wonder when they look at Michael J. Fox, they're like, this is a beloved young actor, Canadian boy, you know, making all these hits, Teen Wolf, I mean, Family Ties, Back to the Future. And at one point in the movie, he says, I should have seen this coming, the cosmic price I had to pay for all my success. After filming with him, do you think that this is still where he's at, or is he at a different place now?
He's a brilliant guy. I mean, you sort of underestimate him because he's funny, but he's brilliant. And he says Parkinson's is the gift that keeps on taking.
Wow.
And it's amazing to think of it that way. It is, in so many ways, a gift because it sent him in this direction. It challenged him to go deeper and to be self-reflective and actually find answers to things that are good for all of us to see, but it keeps on taking.
Yeah, absolutely. At one point when you're interviewing him, you sound pretty surprised. You're like, hey, Michael, why haven't you told me in all these hours of interviews that you're in pain?
Yeah.
What did you make of that? The fact that he didn't tell you, like, hey, look, I'm actually suffering right now. These tremors are hurting me.
It's a big part of the movie. He wants to be optimistic. It's not just sort of talking points for his life.
Right.
It's what makes him endure through this. Like, Parkinson's has been really hard. He had a lot of falls during the year we were shooting, but his optimism is what keeps him going. And so I think dwelling on the hard stuff is hard for him.
Yeah.
and something he's reluctant to do. And that's sort of one of the tensions in the movie. Yeah.
Wow, what a treat this was to watch, and I can't wait for all of Canada to watch it. Well, at the premiere tonight at TIFF Bell Lightbox, 6:30, and then May 12th, it premieres on Apple TV Plus and in theaters everywhere. Davis, congratulations. This is a work of art,
Thank
and
you.
I'm so happy you made it. Take care.
I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah.
It's really fun. Thank you for
Thank
talking
you.
about our
Thank
movie.
you. That
Yeah.
was awesome.